there, micro folks. It's Mr. Hooker back for video 2 of chapter 6. This time we will do elasticity of supply, cross price elasticity, income elasticity, and any other elasticities. I think that's all of them, but we will finish up chapter 6 here in this video, I'm pretty sure. So here we go. Let's get to it. So price elasticity of supply, it's basically the same thing as price elasticity of demand. It's just now we're looking at the supply side of it. It measures the seller's responsiveness now to changes in price. So elastic supply, producers are responsive to a change in price. Inelastic supply, producers are not responsive to a change in price. That's basically what that means. This one is now E sub S. It is the percentage change in quantity supplied to product X divided by the percentage change in price of product X. So you'll notice here that it is basically the same as price elasticity of demand, except it is supply. So it's basically just like it was in chapter 3. Supply is basically the same as demand. You just change some things, and it's all basic. It's pretty much the same. It's just the seller side, looking at it from a seller side of it. So elasticity of supply, if it's greater than 1, supply is elastic. If it's equal to 1, it's unit elastic. And if it's less than 1, it is inelastic. Also, if it is equal to 0, it is perfectly inelastic. And it's going to be a vertical line. So on this one, time is the primary determinant of elasticity of supply. There are 3 time periods considered: the immediate market period, the short run, and the long run. And so here we go. The perfectly inelastic supply, there you go. There is no time for change. And in that one, if you look at that, what you're looking at is basically, if you think about the Popeyes chicken sandwich when it first came out, and they had no time, and they ran out. They had no time to change anything. That is your immediate market period. The short run, more elastic, more immediate market period. It is upward sloping. There's a little bit of time for change, but not a lot. There's some things you can change. So you can do some things, but not a lot of things. And so that one is still upward sloping, and there's some opportunity for change. So that's when they basically, Popeyes, they switched to that BYOB, bring your own bun. So they were trying to do some things, but they didn't have enough. And they still couldn't control all of their supply. And then you move to the long run. It's even more elastic than the short run. It's not perfectly elastic, but it's more elastic. So this is where they are now. It's a little more elastic. They've got a little more control over their supply. They've got things a little more ironed out, and they know what's going on now. So things are a little bit better, a little bit smoother, and now you've got an idea of what's going on. So what is the deal here? Application. So antiques have an inelastic supply. I've actually seen a sign for new antiques, but there are no new antiques. The idea of antiques is they are old. They're 25 years old. So the idea with that is you can't make new antiques. Reproductions have a more elastic supply. You can make new reproductions. You can't make new antiques. Volatile gold prices have make an inelastic supply. When gold prices go up, people want gold. When they don't go, when they go down, people don't care about gold. And Bitcoin's going that way. Cross price elasticity of demand is when you're looking at 2 goods. So when we did demand, we were talking about complements and substitutes. This is where you can tell whether or not a good is a complement or a substitute. So when we can mathematically prove that goods are complements and substitutes with this cross price elasticity formula. This is E sub XY, and the percentage change is the percentage change in quantity demanded of product X divided by the percentage change in price of good Y. So if quantity demanded of good X goes up and the percentage change in price of good Y, based on a percentage change in price of good Y going up, then that's going to be a positive number. And if it's positive, that means that they are substitutes. Okay? So this is the way this goes. It measures responsiveness of purchases of one good due to change in price of another. There's substitutes if it's positive, complements if it's negative, and independence if it's zero or near zero. So negative, basically, if you remember like peanut butter and jelly, if if the demand for or the price of one went up, the demand for the other one went down, so you had a negative relationship. That would mean that they're complements in this case. That's why this would be a negative value here. If you're not going to buy one, if your price of one goes up, you're not going to buy the other. That would give this a negative value. And substitutes, that's why this is a positive value. If the price of one good goes up, you're going to switch off to the substitute good. And so that's why that's a positive value. So it makes sense based on what we learned in chapter 3. So cross-price elasticity on demand between education spending and increases in the price of food. And here you go. Tanzania, negative, probably about 2.6 or so. Benin, about 2.4. Vietnam, about 2.2. Ecuador, about 2.1. Zimbabwe, right at 2. Russia, about 2.1. Argentina, about 18. South Korea, about about 17. Japan, about 15 or so. And U.S., about 13 or so. So what does this tell you? Those are complementary goods. Okay? Negative cross-price elasticity. So education spending and increases in the price of food basically are going to be complementary goods. So applications of cross elasticity of demand. Should a company change its price, and should the government allow a merger? We'll get more into mergers when we get into monopolistic competition and oligopoly, when we talk about four-firm concentration ratios in the HERF. But that's a big thing about that. So talking about that cross-price elasticity and vertical mergers, horizontal mergers, that kind of thing. So income elasticity of demand. So when we did demand, we talked about normal and inferior goods. This will tell you whether or not a good is a normal or inferior good. Cross-price elasticity or income elasticity. And I don't know why this author wants to use E sub I. That should be E sub Y. But percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in income. And so measures responsiveness of buyers to changes in their income. Normal good if elasticity is positive. Inferior good if elasticity is negative. And so there is some more insight to this. For this, if a good has a positive income elasticity but is less than 1, we consider it a normal necessary good. And if that E sub I is greater than 1, the good is considered a luxury. So that's the way that works out. Luxuries are greater than 1. If it's between 0 and 1, it is considered a normal necessary good. Just as a note, beer runs in the range of a normal necessary good. It's just where it falls. Would I really consider it necessary? No. But as where it falls as far as income elasticity is where people buy it, yes, it falls in that range of a normal necessary good. So what are some insights on elasticity? High income elasticities are most affected by a recession because they're luxuries. And so luxury goods, as we mentioned when we did price elasticity of demand, are highly elastic goods. And so high income elasticity goods are also highly affected by recessions because people just don't really need them as much. And so lower negative income elasticity are not affected that much by recession because they're basically going to be those goods that we consider necessities. Okay, so necessities you're going to want to buy. Cross elasticity, if it's positive, quantity demanded changes of W changes in the same direction as change in price of Z, so they're substitutes. If it's negative, quantity demanded of X changes in the opposite direction from a change in price of Y, and they're complements. Income elasticity, if it's positive, quantity demanded product changes in the same direction as the change of income. It's a normal good. And then it could also be, if it's greater than one, it's going to be a luxury. Less than one, between 1 and 0, it's going to be a necessity. If it's negative, quantity demand of the product changes in the opposite direction of the change in income, and it's an inferior good. So, global perspective, income elasticity demand for gas. India, almost 2. Iran, about 1.75. Venezuela, what about 1.1, about 1.15 or so. Mexico, about 1.1. China, about 0.8. Nigeria, about 0.7. Brazil, about 0.7. U.S., about 0.6. Saudi Arabia, about 0.5. UAE, about 0.4. Russia, sitting at about 0.3, 0.2, 0.25, 0.3. So, elasticity and pricing power. Why do different consumers pay different prices? We can charge different prices to different buyers based on price elasticities. So you have business air travelers, kid discounts, and college tuition. Back that up. This is basically the idea of price discrimination. So you can do that if you have um, a couple of different conditions. Those conditions are: one, you have two groups with different elasticities. Two, you have an easy way to change the price. It's an easy and cheap way to change the price. Let's make that clear. And three, you have the ability to prevent resale of the good. If you can meet those three conditions, you can do what we call price discrimination. So the way that works is you can easily change the price. You can keep people from reselling it, and you'll charge two different prices to two different goods. So one group has to have a high elasticity, and one has to have a low elasticity. So you'll go out, you'll charge the one that has the high elasticity, the very elastic buyers. You'll charge them a lower price. The ones that have the lower elasticity value, you'll charge them a higher price because they're more inelastic buyers. So you'll just charge them a higher price. So that's like business travelers. They have a low elasticity. They're going to buy the good no matter what. You'll charge them a higher price. The casual air traveler, they're more sensitive to price. So you're going to try to charge them a lower price, and so that's the way that works. Now, some of the things about this, you have to make sure that you can prevent these people from reselling. In air travel, you have the thing nowadays where you have to match up the name on the ticket to the name on your ID. I've heard where some of the things with this with college students, you get students. You can use your student ID to get college student discounts. You can use senior IDs to get senior discounts. And so a lot of places that offer those, they're selling goods that you can't resell. I've heard recently that Kroger offers a college discount. And that's just kind of weird to me because those kinds of goods could be resold. I don't know who would buy them right now, but it's a possibility that you could resell those goods. And that is an odd thing to me. So that's the way that price discrimination works. You go out, like most places that do this, if you think about the places you can get a college discount, the theater, restaurants like Firehouse right across from the Hardin Valley campus offers a student discount. Zaxby's offers one. A number of the restaurants right there in that area offer offer student discounts. And so, restaurants, you're going to get your college discount and you're going to eat the food. You're not going to resell it. So they're going to make sure for that. Movie theaters, you're going to buy the ticket, you're going to watch the movie, you're not going to resell the ticket. So there's those kinds of goods. A grocery store, you could buy goods and then resell those goods. You could buy extra goods and resell them. So it's kind of like, doing a student discount at a Sam's Club or something. It's kind of weird to me. All right, folks, that's it for today in chapter 6. I will see you in chapter 7. Take care. Stay safe.